Hello fellow YouTubers, Trouble8385 here with a Pickups video. So I'm going to do this backwards. This time I'm going to show you what I got today at garage sales, and I'll show you what I got last week. Ironically, today me and my son together both went garage selling. And it's kind of funny because my wife sent me, she went on her mother's message board she goes on to, and there was a garage sale on there that wasn't posted in the paper or anywhere, so she said I should go to this because it said they had video games. I said okay, that's cool. And ironically, yesterday I said, I've never ever found a Zelda game at a garage sale. And sure enough, I go to this first garage sale, and what do they have for the Gamecube? The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, which has on it The Legend of Zelda, The Legend of Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, which I have not played Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. So it'd be interesting to go back and play the original and those two games. So that was really cool for $1 or $2 on top of it all, so that was really awesome. But I did get a lot of other GameCube games there. Crash Nitro Kart, which is like all the other kart games if you never played it before. It's just their version of Mario Kart. A game I own on multiple systems that I love, Spider-Man. And then 007 Nightfire, which I've never really played many of the James Bond games at all, so I'm just picking them up now and actually trying them all out. So. And then this game, ironically, they announced this at the Nintendo E3 press conference, the sequel to it, Luigi's Mansion. Boy, if I could pronounce it, would help. Luigi's Mansion, which I'm interested in trying this game because I never played it before. So, and normally I don't pay $4 for any video game when I'm in garage sales most of the time, but these two PlayStation 2 games I did because one, I've never really seen them out there anywhere, and two, I really wanted them, so, and they're complete. So the first one is Destruction Derby Arenas. I actually like the Destruction Derby series, though I don't know how you call it series because there hasn't been a new one for a while now. And then Worms Forts Under Siege. So next I got were some N64 games. The first one, Mickey Speedway USA, Toy Story 2, and Tarzan. Good old Disney games. Now I did pick up some PS1 games. The first three I picked up was Rugrats Studio Tour. You like that show? Spec Ops Stealth Patrol, which I have another Spec Ops game on the PS1. I really haven't had time to play it much, so now I got two different kinds. And MLB 99. And I went to this other garage sale today, ironically. And it's one of those weird cases where, for some reason, on the floor at the end of one table, these were just sitting there on the floor by themselves. They weren't on the tables. That people walked by, they would miss them, and I just happened to notice them and look down. They were 25 cents a piece. And the first one, I'm really excited about finding actually, would be Chocobo Racing. Now it doesn't have the top case, but it does have the game, so I just have to get another case for it. But it was really cool to find that. And then the next two I got were WCW Nitro, which I had this on other systems, and then MLB 2001. And there's not a scratch on any of these either, which is really, really cool. I also picked up a handheld Radio Shack Pinball Shaky Action. And for the computer people out there, it was only $1, and I picked it up. Doom 2, because I really loved it. Really loved that game when it came out. Even though I did play Doom a little bit in the Navy, it wasn't on the computer very long where I was at. But they did have Doom 2, and this was actually the first shooter I actually played and spent a lot of time with and absolutely loved. So, and then I got some PlayStation 2 games: Matrix, Path to Neo, ATV Off-Road Fury 2, Cool Borders 2001, which I did like the Cool Borders series, and SOCOM 2 U.S. Navy SEALs. So I finally got a SOCOM game to actually try because I never actually have played a SOCOM game. And the last place I went to today was I went to my local pawn shop to top the day off, and I picked up a PSP game, and this PSP game is entirely Crow 111's fault, because he did a playthrough, or a Crow plays, of Hot Shots Golf for the PS3, and I've been dying to play a Hot Shots game. So for $3.95, I picked up Hot Shots Golf Open Tee for the PSP, which I'm sure I'll be playing later this week. And then 3 old NES games: Pinball, Chris Everett and Ivan Lendl and Tops Players Tennis, and then lastly, one of my favorite arcade games, even though it was a harder one to play, and that would be Spy Hunter, which I did own on the NES also back. So it's really cool to have that in my collection again. Now, last week, before I get to what I got last week, there's one non-video gamer item I got, because I love the 80s cartoons. I grew up in that era, and I saw this record. I saw it there, and I asked him if it was only $1, so I picked it up. It was Strawberry Shortcake and Her Friends record. Yes, I know what you're thinking, Strawberry Shortcake. And the coolest thing is this record itself. To actually see the actual, just the cool artwork on the record. And the second side is different. Was just really cool and awesome to actually have. So I picked that up for $1, because I am an 80s cartoon buff. So here's what I picked up last week. Actually, my wife picked up some of this. The first thing I'm going to show you, my wife picked up at a garage sale, and it is I do have a Game Boy Advance SP, but I do not have a Game Boy Advance, so now I do have one. And in case you were wondering, it's really dirty, but yes, it does. If you can see it, it does work. So that's cool. And it came with this Game Boy Color case. Now, there's a funny story about that. When my wife was up at the front of this garage sale, she was asking, did they have anything else, maybe other video games they want to get rid of. And the son said, well, he had a Game Boy Color that he'd be interested in getting rid of. He didn't know where it was at the moment. His mom goes, well, you don't need to get rid of that. Don't you play in that all the time? And he goes, no, mother, that's the Nintendo DS. Which makes you laugh, because how much parents don't really, sometimes don't get confused on what their kids actually play and do. So that was actually kind of funny. So the last game I forgot to show you that I picked up at that first garage sale, by the way, was an Xbox 360 Kinect game today for $4, and that was the Kinect Joyride. So that was really cool to pick up instead of paying full price. But last week, these first couple games my wife picked up for me last week, and that was Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, which I do think I already own a copy of this game, but still cool. I got another one. And then I already own this Pokemon Pinball, but I do not own these two, Monsters Inc. and WWF Betrayal, because I just love playing all the older wrestling games. So I'll have to try this one out and see what it's like. And then I was with her when she went to another garage sale last week. It was one of those rare cases where they have a bin on the floor, a tub, and it had DVDs in it and music CDs. And I always look through those, and I have it because sometimes they put Dreamcast or PlayStation 1 games. And in this case, they did put PlayStation 1 games in the tub. And they're all 50 cents a piece. And mostly these are sport games. Jeremy McGrath Supercross 98, which I've never actually played. Andretti Racing. Now this game I got just for nostalgia reasons. It's Madden 98. And the reason this has so much nostalgia for me is not so much that I played it, but this is actually the first football game I got my wife actually to try and play. And what I did when we played this game was, I started with the team that was really good in the game, the Denver Broncos, which literally I did not know shortly after this, they'd win, more Super Bowls. And so, ironically, because of this game, she is a fair-weather Denver Bronco fan. She has a Denver Bronco hat, and she checks up on the team twice a year. But this game was the first football game she ever played. And she played Madden through 99, and I believe she stopped playing it in Madden 2000, but this is the first time she ever played it, so it's really cool to have this game back. The other sport game I need to find out for her that she really liked more than this was, I believe, MLB 97. And that was the one where you had the first person view as a batter, where when you batted, you were looking out, but you didn't have a box, and you would look out like in first person view, and you were swinging. It was all about timing, and she loved playing that way. And I believe it was MLB 98, they didn't have that anymore, so she has not played a baseball game since that game. PGA Tour 97, because I just love the old golf games. Then I picked up Madden 97, F1 2000, the game I played when I had it, NBA Live 98. And this was another game I got for the PlayStation 2 for $1 that I played a lot of when I had it, and that was the original Triple Play Baseball. And then the last thing I picked up was a game I used to own on my PlayStation 2, and that was Namco's Greatest Hits. Namco Museum, this is the Greatest Hits version though, with Pac-Man, Galaga, Pole Position 1 and 2, Dig Dug, Galaxian, and Miss Pac-Man. And then the arrangement versions of Galaga and Pac-Man and some other games on there. So that was really cool to get. So those were all the pickups I've gotten over the last 2 weeks. And so that's all for this video, guys. So till my next video.